We became, like he said, a member of a small group, a Met small group, before we even became members of the Met, before we had even visited the Met. We were lost and quite a mess, and we just showed up to small group, and we had people that were ready to pour into us. And to be a small group leader and be able to give that back to others and pour into others, what we've experienced has been rewarding. And it goes to see the growth that we've had individually as a couple, and to experience, the growth that our members in our group are having.
So my small group experience was totally different than probably many. My small group leader decided that he wanted to go do a family group. And so this left the group kind of empty and without a leader. And I prayed over it, and I felt God leading my heart to lead this small group. So I came in, and literally it was about down to 2 or 3 guys, and it dwindled down to 1.
When we first came to the Met, we were in another small group. The outpour of love and community that Messias gave us, and in that group was magical. To see something like that just thriving, and the vulnerability was I've never seen anything like it.
The hard things about small group leadership is just learning that people have to do their part, and that you can't do it for them, even though you want to, and sometimes you try to make it happen for them.
There are times when we think, are we reaching them? Are they getting it? Are we making an impact? And we struggle with it quite a bit, and we'll pray about it and talk about it, and then we all constantly look at each other and say, well, we got to do our part, and we can't do God's part, and that part may be years down the road. We don't know. So we just got to do our part.
Am I worthy enough to lead other couples, essentially, other people? And I always got to the point where I thought I was, and then I'd hear, Satan speaking to me, telling me, no, just give it another year. You're not clean enough yet. You're not clean enough yet. I just remember the talks that we started to have, started gaining more and more momentum, started leaning on my wife a little bit more, leaning on Christ a little bit more. And as I did that, the voice just got a lot more quieter and subtle. And I was able to make that leap. And once I made that leap, it was like nothing was stopping us.
At first, Tom and I really had to pray about it. We sat in church all the time, and week after week, we heard the same type of calling of, we need to join a group, and we really didn't know what it was about. We just asked the Lord to bless it, and we invited it, and wow, we've seen so many blessings, and we're in just so many meaningful relationships here at the church, and we wouldn't have it any other way.
We're mess ups as well, so come be messed up with us. And I think the more we were open with them is what allowed them to be more comfortable, be like, okay, like we are in this together. So
I keep and maintain transparency with my guys, because they don't need to see a filter. They need to see unfiltered Blake. And that's when you see God's real work, because of all the junk that I've been through and all the life story that I do have. It really conveys to them, wow, God really did do a work, especially when you hear what God pulled me out of to where I'm at now.
I know it can be scary to trust strangers and to get vulnerable with people that you just met. But it definitely, you rob yourself the opportunity to create something beautiful, or to tap in, to meet people that might show you something else that you just have never seen.
When we took the leap, our challenge was our busyness, and we have 3 kids, we got 3 dogs, we got baseball, we got a firefighter schedule, a company. So I think finally taking the leap to be like, this is a priority and this is what God's leading us to do, was hard, but then now that we do it, it's just part of our lives. It's part of our schedule. And, I love opening our home to people. It's always, doors open, revolving.
He and I both have full-time jobs. We have a 12-year-old. He has a men's group. I have a women's group. Our daughter is very involved, and we thought, how are we going to fix it into this huge schedule? And like I said, we just invited the Lord and said, hey, do we do this or not? And he made time for all of it.
This has affirmed that I am exactly where I'm supposed to be, and I am with exactly the women that I'm supposed to be shepherding and literally like feeding them and like bringing them actual literal bread and like texting them, hey, I feel like I'm supposed to pray for you. And so it's fun to see if you model having one-on-one relations with people, they start doing that with each other without having to tell them.
So I think the biggest thing for me has been the support, not just from our previous small leaders, but also our pastors. The small group pastors have played a big role in that as well, having that support to talk to us, guide us. I think that was one of my biggest concerns was like, okay, if we get into a situation, who's gonna help us? Like, who's gonna help us equip if there's a difficult situation? Are we gonna be left, out to dry? But them assuring us, hey, look, we follow the principles of the Bible and you have a support team.
Like, there's no judgment. I want to be the hands and feet of Christ. I want to share the love of Christ. And it doesn't matter where you've been, what you've done, just bring to the table what you have.